Hello and welcome to day 11 of the International Boxing Association's World Championships, hosted by the beautiful capital of Azerbaijan, Baku. This 16th AIBA Worlds has attracted 570 athletes representing 110 national federations. Today, it's semi-final day with 10 bouts in this evening's competition, including fly, lightweight, welter, light heavy and super heavyweight divisions. Well, joining myself, Nick Fellows, in the commentary box is former Golden Gloves medalist Castle Chalice, who will be casting his expert eye over the second session of the day here in the Heydar Aliyev Sports and Concert Complex in Azerbaijan. So the first bout promises to be an absolutely scintillating start to this evening's card. Misha Aloian of Russia up against the American Rau'shee Warren. Now, Rau'shee Warren, one of the WSB boxers, he fights for the LA Matadors, and they've nicknamed him Baby Pitt on the World Series of Boxing last season, which has been turning a few heads here over the past 24 hours. We enjoyed the WSB draft here, with new boxers being chosen to the 12 teams that will battle it out from November onwards. The world ranking is the key point that sticks out on that graphic. This is the number one ranked boxer, and of course the European champion, and he's up against Warren of the USA, who is ranked fourth, and as you see there, a pretty impressive record for the American on the World Series of Boxing. 5 judges strategically placed around the ring, and of course 1 referee who's taking care of those boxers inside of the ring. This promises to be a challenging bout. Both of these boxers, Castle, evenly matched. First question for you of the evening. Which one of these would you think will come out top with the added pressure of a semi-final and a spot in the final if you come out on top?
Well, you know what, to be honest with you, I think both of these guys are not going to be fazed, Nick, by this pressure whatsoever. They've both been on the world stage many times before, and to them, this is just another sparring match. They are human, and they do, get touched by emotions, but to be quite honest, these two guys have been here before, and they're ready to let it all hang out on the line, just as if it's a day in the gym.
So, just be clear, Russian is in the red and the American is in the blue corner, the blue shorts, vest and head guard. For me, well, maybe Rau'shee Warren could be the upset ranked 4 here. He's got the experience. He won the US Olympic trials to earn his spot at these World Championships, but he's been to 2 Olympic Games. He's been to 3 World Championships. This man knows the game very well, and of course is just a little more senior to the young Russian by 1 year. But the Russian, well, doesn't look to be as tall as Rau'shee Warren, and we're already seeing, Castle, that these guys mean business out there tonight. No messing around.
No messing around whatsoever, Nick. I mean, I was looking at the resume of Rau'shee Warren in preparation for this bout, and I ran out of fingers and toes when counting how many times he's won the USA National Championships. He's just the best of the best that America has to offer. He's going for his 3rd trip to the US Olympics. He'll be there with his ticket already written for London, having made it through to the semifinal round. And what can we say? Aloian as well. I mean, he's been to the big dance before. He knows what it takes, and this will be an excellent matchup. It's already looking to be a contest of wills, a chess match, perhaps.
Well, no shortage of exchanges here, and this is Warren working really well with the hook, and he's so fast with his hands.
Lightning fast. I mean, this kid Warren, sometimes you really have a tough time, and I feel for the judges who have to count these punches, because many times he throws 3 punches before your eye could register 1.
Well, Warren, confident, no question of a doubt. No worries about trading blows. But defense working well. Both boxers prepared to take a hit so that they can counter in return. We're just coming to the 1-minute mark left in this first round. Remember, this is amateur boxing at a world championship level. 3-minute rounds, the name of the game. And I'm not so sure, Castle, that Warren wants to get into the close-up fighting with the Russian, because that's one of his specialities.
Yeah, well, it may seem like that, but Warren is not afraid to mix it up. I've seen him in bouts like this before. He's such a smart boxer. He's such a tactical boxer that he could be waiting to lure Aloian in. he may feel that counterpunching is his best bet, at least for the first round, to feel him out and to see where the second round may take them. Oftentimes, the first round is very much a feeling out round.
Well, both boxers have put good points on the board, looking evenly matched. For me, it's the speed of the American, the only American to make the semi-finals. It's worthwhile pointing out. So a fair bit of pressure on Rau'shee's shoulders here. And as our expert in the box, Castle Chalice, has pointed out, neither of these boxers are afraid to get in and mix it and slug it out. 10 seconds and counting down to bring the first round to an end. And I think the judges will have been scoring frenetically here. Good fighting from both. Not all hitting the target, but determined to make that final. There goes the bell. And Rau'shee not very happy at all with the Russian. And the Russian, well, a little more accurate, I have to say, in their final exchange. But some quality stuff here, Castle.
Yeah, well, you might notice right as the bell rings, when Rau'shee seems to be calling it in for the round, the Russian looks like he's able to score with one last shot at the bell, perhaps to emphasize his tenacity, as we've seen through the entirety of the round, and to let Rau'shee know that he's not going anywhere. Come round two, I imagine that Aloian is going to be right there, toe-to-toe with Warren, and you could even see in the corner of Warren, he's probably caught one or two to the nose.
Well, you're absolutely right, Castle, because the Russian just squeezing those extra couple of points out right on the bell. If it was after the bell, then the referee would have given a caution and taken that point away. But a very, very good score from the Russian, who goes too clear of Rau'shee Warren. And of course, Castle, Warren will know that, won't he? The corner will tell him that you're two behind and you've got to raise your game.
That's right. The corner does have a television monitor with the score that they have access to in between rounds. And now it looks like Aloian almost thrown through the ropes, and the referee is going to caution him to wipe his gloves off, and boxing will resume.
The American clearly not happy. He's looking to really wind this one up now. And again, look at these fast combinations as we take a look from overhead. And a little angry, and he's got to stay calm and be a skillful boxer and not get over-aroused here, because that's exactly how Aloian likes to play his opponents. Just get them a little wound up and then pick them off. And Warren certainly knows that there's work to be done, and certainly upping his strike rate.
Yeah, normally when a boxer goes up in points into the second round, he has that advantage. But these guys are such whippersnappers. They really throw more punches than you could count, and they both really want to. They are vying for supremacy here of the world. And I don't think either one of these guys wants to just skate away with a points victory. I think both of them are committed to seeing this bout through to boxing for all 3 minutes of all 3 rounds. And Warren now, you could see, becoming a little more of the aggressor in round number 2.
Well, the Russian in the red certainly showing that he's got the speed of movement, lovely balance on the feet, working from the front to the back foot and trying to work his way out of trouble when the American comes hauling in with those combinations. Oh, lovely uppercut there from Rau'shee. And that's the first time that the Russian has actually taken a step backwards than forwards in the counter.
Yeah, this is a ballet, if you will. The only difference in like boxing is that there's no choreography and the dancers get hit.
Oh, again, good punches. Tactical play here from the Russian. Certainly looking angry here, Warren.
You could see the sense of urgency a little bit on Warren's style as he realizes it's just a minute to go in this round, and if he is down on points at the end of 2, he's going to really be in a hole that he'll have to dig out of. He'll have no choice for round number 3.
Yeah, it's a good call, Castle. A very good call. And the cries from the American corner, the blue corner, are for Rau'shee not to get caught up in the grappling and the holding, but to box, stand tall, box off. Best way and quickest way to try and level those scores. Again, the uppercut has been effective for the American.
It's also important to note that Rau'shee is not used to going into the third round of a bout down on points. So this is going to be a precarious predicament for him if he doesn't tie this up or better.
Both these boxers have come through undefeated in all of their rounds, Castle. But they know that as the last day draws ever closer, the bouts get tougher. And the Russian looking very bruised in the face. Oh, but puts in a lovely combination to score a nice 1-2, possibly even 3 points. And just as the clock starts to go against the American, 20 seconds left in the second round, and Misha Aloian of Russia, ranked #1 for this competition, and I think we're seeing why.
Yeah, I mean, you know, combinations in this sport are the filet to punching's mignon. I mean, you really need to throw punches in bunches in order to score those points, because at this level, the judges aren't just going to give you a point if one gets deflected. You really need to penetrate.
Well, a good start to the second round for the American in the blue corner, but the Russian, some very impressive combination punches all the time. And I sense that the Russian's drawn further clear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see where Raushee was able to really turn things around there. As you could see here in round number 2, the Russian still being the aggressor, even though Raushee down on points going into the round.
Well, and there's a good point-scoring couple of hits, and quite a nasty blooded nose for the American. And yes, as we thought, another round for the Russian, 2 points clear as he was in the first, and now going 4 points clear into the third and final round. Castle, you mentioned this in the second round. This is the position the American, first of all, has not found himself in since this tournament began. But secondarily, 4 behind. It's a big task. It's a big ask.
Yeah, and you know what? Perhaps this may be the best thing that Warren can have, is fighting with his back against the wall. In his previous bouts, including in the games in Beijing in 08, some of the criticism lobbed against Warren was that he'd take his foot off the gas pedal when he was up on points, not sensing the urgency he needed. Well, that may change right here, now that Raushee has no choice but to bore the pedal to the metal.
Well, he really has got to raise his game. And he's got to take a few risks as well. And that's where I think Aloian is just now starting to play the tactical World Championship boxing game plan, trying to keep out of trouble, let the American maybe even run himself out of steam. As we said at the beginning of this bout, Raushee Warren is a WSB boxer. They box more than 3, they box 5 rounds. So I don't think there'll be any question of stamina and fitness from the American in blue.
And there's not only that, another thing to point out, Raushee is used to boxing without the headgear in the WSB, and he's also used to boxing with lighter gloves, 8-ounce gloves. So he's used to throwing hard, except in this instance, he has to make the connection. I think Raushee's only choice, and I'm sure Coach Joe Zanders of the American team told him this, is to step on it and to throw punches and bunches with both hands and to throw caution to the wind.
Well, exactly. This is the semi-final. There's only one place to go, and that's to win and head to the last round of the competition.
You just saw a big right hand by Raushee right before Aloian went down. Not sure if the judges gave that one credit, but he clearly connected on the face of Misha Aloian.
He needs a lot more of those. And of course, for Raushee Warren, well, he'll be off to the World Series of Boxing, which starts in just a month's time, kicks off in November. One of the leading players of the LA Matadors, Raushee Warren. Oh, again, and Warren prepared to take the risks to make sure that his punches count, leaving himself a little open, but the counterattacks from the American, hard-hitting punches.
Yeah, at this point, Aloian knows he's up on the points, and he has that luxury in adjusting his style accordingly. Warren, on the other hand, really needs to get in there. He needs to get on the chest of Aloian and continue to throw shots about the body and the head and not stop for the next 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Well, easier said than done when you're up against the European champion, but I think we get the message there, Castle.
Absolutely.
But if anybody can, Warren can. Another good hook there, right to the chin of the Russian, and he's putting them in. It's going to be very close. And as you quite rightly say, he is not going to give this up until the bell goes at the end of the third. And both of these athletes desperately want to go to the final for a shot at gold.
I think what was poignant to note there was that big right hook by Warren was a lead right hand. That's not a punch you often see land. It's not a punch that coaches often ask their boxers to throw. But Warren is in a great situation in that he's thrown all types of punches before. He knows what works. And I think the element of surprise at this point for Warren with the next minute may be his best bet at scoring points on Aloian.
Well, Baby Pitt needs to show all of those skills, and for the reason why he's been given that nickname. He's won the World Championship before, let's not forget, 2007 in front of an ecstatic home crowd in Chicago. But can he do it again here in Azerbaijan?
He's a long way from home, and as they say in the States, this ain't Kansas.
Come on, Raushee. See if he's got a few more combinations in him. But again, the Russian still has the strength and power to match.
See, now this clinching is working against Warren and fully in favor of Aloian as the valuable seconds click away, and Warren cannot afford to lose them.
And he now has a 16-second countdown.
Nice counter left hand by Warren as the advancing Aloian lunged forward.
Needs to get out of this holding. Needs to push him away. 3. And the bell's gone. Very close indeed. Difficult to bet against the Russian. Good, brave performance from Rau'shee Warren of the United States of America. But I'm not sure that was enough.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's going to be very close. I do believe he did better in that last round than he had in the first 2. However, he was needing to overcome a deficit of 4 points. Let's see if he did it. The judges will be sending the official word up to the referee in just a moment.
Couldn't ask for any more commitment from both of these boxers. 101% for all 9 minutes of the boxing. Will it be Russia in the red on the left of your screens, or can Rau'shee Warren from the United States of America turn the tables after losing the first 2 and scrape it all back in the third? He's shaking his head. I don't think he thinks he's done enough either. Let's leave it to the judges. And there it is, as expected. Misha Aloian of Russia goes through to the final of the men's fly division.
What's interesting to note there, Nick, is that indeed we were correct that Raushee did fare better. He actually kept it close, and 7-7 was in the third round. Those 4 points he lost by are the 4 points he lost in rounds 1 and 2, which just goes to show you if Raushee would have kept up that level of energy, he had it in him for rounds 1 and 2. Perhaps he got off to a slow start, tactical disadvantage, which he misgauged going into the bout.
Well, let's take a look at the replay of that third and final round. Great skills from both boxers, perhaps saving a little bit of pride, Rau'shee Warren, but the Russian goes through. So the second semi-final of the men's flyweight division, 52-kilo weighted boxers, sees Uzbekistan going against the Welsh ace, Andrew Selby. Jasurbek Latipov is on your screens. Just 20 years of age, 154 centimetres in height. And no matter what the outcome of this competition for this young man, he's on record for a massive PB, a personal best, a career high. And like all of the boxers who made the quarterfinals, delighted to have made the Olympic qualification. But one of the 4 British GB squad boxers for the 2012 Olympics is up against the Uzbeki boxer, and that is Andy Selby in the blue corner. He's from Barry Island in Wales, 23 years of age, out of the Splot Adventure ABC Club, coached by Pat Mahoney, and of course the European champion at the recent championships in Ankara, Turkey. There's the confirmation of that European Championship. Comes into this World Championship event ranked 6. And when he took that European title, the first Welshman to win a European title for 86 years. Older brother, Lee Selby, now a pro, so it's very much a family affair, the boxing game for the Selbys. But the Uzbekistan boxers, and I think the Ukrainian boxers, for me, Castle, at these championships, seem to be nations that have improved so much since the last Worlds and the Olympic Games.
Absolutely, and you know, let's not discount Latipov. He is a 2-time Uzbeki national champion in 2008 and 2009, and most importantly, he's boxed right here in Azerbaijan in the past. In 2007, he boxed in the AIBA World Cadet Championship, so he's familiar with the country. He's familiar with the stage, let's see if he's familiar enough with Andrew Selby.
Let's see if the Welsh Terrier can sort this one out. There's another story that we have to tell about Andy Selby, because he's locked in a little bit of a battle with another British boxer, which is Kavaliauskas. They've both qualified for the Olympics at the same weight. Now, the way that a box-off can be avoided by Selby Castle is that Selby wins the World Championship, he goes to the Olympics. If he gets knocked out here, he will have to have a private box-off with Kavaliauskas to decide which one of the British flyweights goes to the 2012 London Games. That's a tough process.
Yes, it sure is, and it's not uncommon. It happens in other countries as well, even in the United States. Those boxers that haven't placed or written their ticket for London at this event actually have to go back to the States and perhaps engage in a box-off just to hold on to this position, which was the U.S. Olympic trial winners. So it's a tough sport, and there's a lot of competition around the world, and you're right, Selby's in quite a predicament here.
Well, Selby is the third of the 4 GB boxers in action today in the semi-finals. Luke Campbell, congratulations, has gone through to the final in his division. Sadly, Thomas Stalker was unable to go into those finals, beaten in the semis. Let's see what Selby can do. Good start for the Welsh boxer, settling nicely, but fair to say, so is the Uzbeki boxer too.
Yeah, so far it's a tactical brainstorm, if you will. Both of these boxers haven't really gotten off yet. However, there's a lot of moving, a lot of posturing, and there's a nice quick jab by Latipov to try and set the stage for perhaps an onslaught with the right hand.
We mentioned earlier that the pressure had been taken off some of the other British boxers, knowing that they'd hit that qualification, but of course that hasn't been taken off for Selby. And let's hope that that added pressure doesn't affect the Welshman's game. Latipov getting through but using the inside of the glove, the caution from the referee.
That's right, and Latipov looks pretty cool in there. He looks like he is doing a decent job measuring his man, but Selby is just staying on top of him and not really giving him much room to breathe.
As we've seen so many times at these World Championships, sizing each other up in the first round, and then just about towards the end, it all starts to open up, and that looks to be no different in this semi-final. The Welshman in the blue, of course, Latipov of Uzbekistan in the red. On his toes, nice and balanced Selby, poised to strike. Oh, that was a good right shot from Latipov.
You just noticed also a right to the belly by Selby. It was well placed, and a lot of boxers don't put enough energy and commitment into the body shots. However, when you've got boxers moving this fast like 2 Tasmanian devils doing a dance, the body shots really tend to slow their opponent down, and they're well served.
Well, a better finish for the Welshman, but I think the Uzbekistan boxer was putting in a little better work in the first minute and a half of that opening round. We'll wait and see for the judges' scores to come through. But again, similar styles, Castle, from both of the boxers.
Yeah, and you also have the situation with a southpaw and a orthodox boxer going. You see those 2 lead feet, how they tend to trip on one another and slip up. That's going to happen throughout the duration of the bout. The question of who could get their foot on the outside of the other's lead foot will perhaps indicate who's going to fare better in this match.
Well, a disappointment for Andrew Selby. He's trailing by 2 in the first round, and he'll need to keep on top of that in the second. So often we've seen boxers trailing by 2 in the first. It goes the same way again in the second, and trying to pull back those 4 in the third becomes an uphill struggle that can not be achieved. And you can see Selby just looking a little more defensive now, and Latipov by far the more confident of the 2.
Yeah, well, Latipov had the benefit of 2 points going into this round to help confirm that level of confidence which he brought with him, and you're going to see Selby now needing to start to put his punches together more and throw more combinations, because as you just rightly pointed out, Nick, the guy with the lead generally has the ability to dictate the pace and play the counterpuncher role, the spoiler role. And Latipov is not going to be able to waste valuable seconds as the round continues.
Again, Latipov, his jab is working well. There's the big punch that he's trying to swing around the outside, and again there's another nice 1-2 for Uzbekistan in the red. Selby just missing the target, very close. But Latipov is reading his attack very well, we have to say.
I'd like to see Selby start to use more feints so that he could get inside more. It looks like Latipov, looking to play the role of counterpuncher, is going to wait for Selby to commit and then try and pick him off. If Selby could throw a body feint, a hand feint.
Beautiful 1-2 from the Welshman. It's as if he heard you there, Castle, because as he starts to do just that, he puts in a lovely combination and picks off 2 very quick points.
And the referee is going to separate them, let them square off again here, just past the halfway point of round number 2. Sneaky left hand on the break. The referee is going to caution Selby. Figured if he could get away with it, he would.
Welshman's got to keep the tempo going up here. He's having a better scoring round, I'd say, than the first. But equally so, Latipov. Oh, and there's another good hook from the Welshman. And he needs to replay that again. Latipov's letting him get him into the corner and the ropes, and they're trading blows, and there are 2 good combinations there from Selby. Much better stuff from the Welshman.
That's right, and Selby's doing a great job showing more angles. The way he was able to get in there was by using angles and going downstairs and back upstairs, and even there staying in the pocket when he had Latipov on the ropes. Instead of retreating, he stayed on him and just was able to bend back to slide away from the punches while continuing to throw on his own.
Much better boxing from the Welshman. Well, is Latipov starting to get a little tired, because the second and the final third of this round is starting to look a lot better for Selby. Now it looks like the Welshman's in control rather than Latipov, and there's another beautiful 1-2 combination. And is he down for a count? No. Good punches nonetheless from Selby. He needs to finish off this round in the same style. Yes, he does. And Andrew Selby, trailing by 2 in the first, looks to have turned it around, certainly by my card, here in the box in the second. It'll be interesting. If not tied, the Welshman could just go ahead after that round.
Yeah, I really, really like the way Selby turned it around in the second round. You saw he had a lot more confidence, and as a result, he was able to land more punches by staying on top of Latipov. I don't think Latipov expected that from Selby coming into the second round. He seemed to have been caught a little off guard by those punches and footwork of Andrew Selby.
And these replays are showing that the Welshman having a much more look at the information that's coming in, and no matter whatever that information was on after the first round, it's worked on the second. See for yourself there, 12-6 to Selby. And remember, the highest and lowest marks are disregarded, and we take a mean average of the 3. And that is a great second round from Andrew Selby, who now goes 4 clear of the Uzbeki boxer going into the third and final round. Well, we were getting a little worried in the first round, but now he turns the tables, and he's got to do the same in the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, except the difference is that things are going to change right now, because now Latipov is the man 4 points down. He's not going to be able to play that counter-punching role, and you won't see Selby coming in as much. My guess is you're going to see Latipov playing the aggressor, and now Selby's going to have to play the role of counterpuncher. Let's see how well Latipov could do now that the tables are turned.
Well, it's a good start to the third and final play for the Welshman, and lovely combination. And again, putting 2 punches in on the counter, and his confidence is back, his confidence is high. And now the sense of urgency seems to be coming from Latipov rather than the Welshman in the first round.
Sneaky right hand by Latipov. May have even scored. Selby has to be careful. He can't take it too easy in this round. He needs to keep the pressure on and to, as you said, Nick, to box exactly as he did in the second round.
Yeah. Well, Selby, if he can book himself a spot in the final and win the World Championship, the Olympic selection dilemma for the GB squad will be settled. And I'm sure before he came into the ring here today, that was something that was ticking over at the back of his mind. His great friend but great opponent at this weight, Khalid Yafai, sadly knocked out in the quarterfinals. Not knocked out literally, but beaten in the quarterfinals and failed to go through to the semis. Otherwise, we could have seen Selby go up against Yafai.
What Latipov is going to need to do now, with just a minute and a half remaining and perhaps still down on the score, he's going to need to be the effective aggressor. He needs to cut off the ring. Selby doing a great job. Look at the lateral movement by Selby. He's moving to his left, he's moving to his right. He's not trying to allow Latipov to get inside and score. This is going to be Latipov's mission for the next minute. He needs to actually cut off the ring, and he needs to start going to the body of Selby to slow him down.
Selby's putting in some good jab work as well, and trying to show Latipov that he's sharp and confident. Just don't get too carried away or cocky, Selby, because as Castle Chalice, our expert in the commentary box, has pointed out, this is good ring work from the Welshman. Almost 40 seconds left on the clock in the third and final round. 4 points clear, Andy Selby coming into this last round of the bout, and 30 seconds now. This is a very close third and final round.
Latipov cannot afford to follow Selby around the ring now. He cannot wait for opportunities to present themselves. He needs to create those opportunities, Nick. There's less than 20 seconds.
Oh, and look at that!
Goes
fantastic! Latipov. Right hook. No count from the referee, but it's a point score surely. And it's given Selby the confidence now just to dance around the ring. And again tries exactly the same tactic. There goes the bell. My card in front of me has Selby on top. I'm not sure about you, Castle, but as you pointed out, Latipov not quite effective or efficient enough in that third round.
Yeah, he just didn't do enough after clearly winning the first round, and after clearly giving up the second. He knew what his task was in the third, and he just could not accomplish it. The Welshman played a very smart game plan, and particularly in the third round was able to keep Latipov off him. Latipov, I don't think he did enough. Not in the third.
What a spectacular result for the Welshman from Barry. From quarterfinals and Olympic qualification to semi-finals, and now a shot at World Championship gold. What a brilliant performance from the European champion, who's one step away from adding World Championship gold to this year's tally. 5-3, 12-6, 6-4. Andrew Selby goes through to the final. Two out of the four British boxers successfully going through to the finals, but the fourth of that quartet is still to come up in one of the later bouts. Anthony Joshua, the super heavyweight, and the super heavyweights coming last of all. We now move up another weight category. We're going to the boxers lightweight, 60 kg, and the Ukraine in action against Italy. Now, Domenico Valentino, the Italian, is ranked number one here. The Ukrainian, Vasyl Lomachenko, another very powerful and experienced boxer. Vasyl, interesting to note that Lomachenko of the Ukraine here has a whole host of titles, World Championship, Olympic and World Junior Championship to his name at a lower weight.
Yeah, this kid is just continuing to get better and better. Vasyl Lomachenko is perhaps the most shiniest star in this tournament. He has really continued to beat everyone that they put in front of him. And with only one loss in his amateur career, and that to Albert Selimov, his arch nemesis from the Olympic Games in 2008, who got disqualified and knocked out of this tournament early on. The man standing in his way is Domenico Valentino right now, ranked #1 in the world, and extremely sharp.
It's a matchup that a lot of people have been waiting patiently to see, Vasyl, because the Italian is the defending world champion, taking the gold medal in front of an ecstatic crowd in Milan 2 years ago. They haven't met many times before as we take a look at French Schmark, the German referee. And this is a bout that we have all been waiting to see. Valentino, the more senior of the two boxers, 27 years of age to age 23 to Lomachenko. And of course, Valentino, part of the World Series of Boxing Milan team, the Milan Thunder as they're known, Dolce & Gabbana Milan Thunder. So Valentino, a boxer that's broadening his skills, and it should be very interesting to see how Lomachenko in the blue deals with Valentino in the red. Lomachenko, Vasyl, almost an identical height, almost both actually identical in weight naturally, but also both quite powerfully built. Great muscle definition on the shoulders and in the arms, and that shows that there's a mighty punch behind both of these boxers.
That's right, and not just the physical makeup, but also the knowledge of knowing how to throw a punch correctly. You know, a lot of people see a muscle-bound guy, like perhaps you would call these guys fairly muscular, and assume that they could punch, but to be honest with you, they can, but it's because they know how to throw a proper punch. These guys know the weight and the power comes from through the foot, up the leg, through the hip, and with the proper pivoting and the turning of the shoulder. And you could see how beautiful, how clean these punches are. These could be perhaps two of the most pure boxer punchers, not just boxers, but boxer punchers, which adds an element of intrigue to this matchup.
Well, Valentino, a huge success in the World Series of Boxing, which starts its new season in November, running through the new year to the finals towards the end of April. And Lomachenko, the Ukrainian, moving up the weights, Vasyl, something that happens naturally with age or something that the boxer chooses to do?
You know, it really depends. Sometimes they can control it depending on where they are in their maturation process, their physical maturation process. There is a lot of flexibility. These guys are perhaps the most finely tuned athletes in the world at this level. I'd be hard-pressed to find a boxer in better shape. But, yeah, in this instance, it's more likely than not a tactical decision.
Well, a couple of point scores from both, as we've seen. A lot of sizing up, but for me, the Italian, Valentino, has been putting in the more aggressive work, definitely on the attack. And there you see another good combination and another good point score from Valentino in the red. Lomachenko immediately trying to get back.
Not a good place for Lomachenko to be here. He should be using his feet to get out of that. He's probably been there before, but it's not where he wants to stay. He wants to be on the attack. I'd like to see a little more activity from Lomachenko to use some of the boxing smarts and the wiles that he's gained through the years. At this point, he seems like he's letting Valentino dictate the pace a little bit.
And Valentino's picking off the punches quite nicely. You talk of ring work costs. Oh, there's a lovely hook from the Ukrainian. Caution from the referee, and there goes the bell for the first round. Closely matched between both of these boxers, as expected. And I think we'll see the game plan unfold a little more clearly in the second round.
Take a look at the way that Valentino is staying on Lomachenko. He's sort of smothering him a little bit. Lomachenko needs a little more space to really use that fancy footwork and those angles that he does so well. and Valentino doing a really good job at sort of smothering him and taking away those advantages from Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko is going to need to adjust his game plan just a little in round 2.
And that reflects in the scores. 4-3. The Italian goes one ahead of the Ukrainian Vasyl Lomachenko. Still very close. And now the second round, which is often the pivotal point of the bout, is away. Sizing up is over. Working out the tactical plan of your opponent is over. Now it's time to start putting some serious points on the board, and we see that in the first few seconds.
Yeah, Lomachenko realizes he's already had himself with his back against the wall earlier in this tournament, where he found himself at a loss to the Brazilian, only to have that overturned due to a protest. He doesn't want to take any more chances. He's not looking to protest anything. He's looking to win this clear and outright. And look at the way Valentino bullying Lomachenko once again and pushing him up against the ropes, trying to exert his physical superiority, his dominance over the Ukrainian. And wow, unbelievably, without much in the way of caution, Valentino is issued a warning, perhaps for roughhousing. Wasn't entirely clear.
Well, that warning, which was clearly indicated by the referee, means 2 points are added to the score of Lomachenko. And all of a sudden, with Valentino starting to feel confident and feel in control, the bout turns, the table turns. And now Lomachenko not only in front, but trying to take that advantage even further.
Yeah, perhaps that roughhousing tactic by Valentino will no longer work, and he's going to have to resort back to boxing. And now look at the punches with bunches. I mean, Lomachenko just really letting his hands go. And Valentino's going to need to start using a little more lateral movement and not be a stable fixture for which Lomachenko could start to tee off on. Nice to stick and move there. Good job by Valentino, throwing punches and getting out of the way.
Well, incredible how the caution from the referee has changed the outlook of this match. And Valentino almost having to start all over again. Both boxers sticking to their plan. No change in tactic, it seems, from here, from either. But Lomachenko, who had a very good, and again, good combinations from the Ukrainian. And he's showing us some of the skills that brought him Olympic gold 3 years ago in Beijing.
Yeah, his hands are just so fast, Lomachenko. I mean, it's unbelievable how he could get his hands out and then get back to a great defensive position. Look how high he keeps his hands. He's very difficult to hit. Give credit to Valentino for having even scored the points he has through the first round.
And again, Valentino, quick with the combination. Into the guard, that one seemed to go through. 20 seconds left on the clock. And Lomachenko again, good body blows from the Ukrainian. And then exactly the same from Valentino. It's almost punch for punch, combination for combination. Whatever you can do, I can do better approach from these boxers.
That's right. Valentino asks a question and Lomachenko has the answer, and then right back they flip it the other way.
Well, I think Lomachenko can feel confident there. Some very impressive combinations, but also for holding the caution from the referee to Valentino gives that Lomachenko another 2 points on top of some impressive scoring punches.
Yeah, you know what? The worst thing you could do, first of all, is get matched up against a guy like Vasyl Lomachenko. The second worst thing you could do once you find yourself in the ring with that man is to give him 2 easy points vis-a-vis a warning, because you're already doubling your poor luck, your unfortunate situation as is.
And look how the story changes now. Lomachenko is at 5 clear of the Italian, who was looking and feeling very confident. 9-3. Taking that bout. That round, I should say. So, third and final round. What has Valentino got to offer for us? The Italians have had a tough World Championships with their world ranked #1 super heavyweight being knocked out in the quarterfinals. And is Lomachenko going to do the same to their top lightweight boxer?
Yeah, I get the sense that Lomachenko is going to continue to keep the pressure on. He doesn't want to take any chances. He's not going to get on his bicycle. He's going to stay there and fight. And you know what? Valentino is going to keep on it also. This is going to really be an interesting round to see if Valentino could find those angles, keep the pressure on Lomachenko. It's a very tall order indeed. You may recall, Nick, in the first round, Valentino was able to surprise Lomachenko with a couple of unexpected punches. They didn't come off of jabs, they came off of feints. There was a few angles, some good footwork. I'd like to see Valentino get back to that in the final 2 minutes. He really has no other way to do it. That should engender a caution at the very least from the judge. That was a referee. That was a somewhat of a cheap shot by Lomachenko. However, Valentino seemingly unfazed.
Well, again, Valentino needs to be careful. He's already been given one caution and given the 2 points away. And that's what turned the nature of this bout. The Italian, with 1 minute 30 left on the 3-minute round.
Not sure if it's a sign of Valentino getting a little tired, but his hands are way down now. Look at Lomachenko's hands up high and Valentino's down, as he looks like he's maybe grasping for a little air there, and this is the wrong time to be running out of steam.
And if we've spotted it, you can guarantee Vasyl Lomachenko has spotted it.
Very little margin for error, about 0.01% went in there with Vasyl Lomachenko.
Oh, again, great work with the left hand from the Ukrainian.
So much of those beautifully clean punches by Lomachenko actually come from his feet. They look like they come from the hands. Actually, the cameramen usually don't even show the feet, as you can see here, but it's the footwork of Lomachenko that makes it so opportune for him. He's able to get inside and throw punches and get out before his opponent even recognizes that he was in his grill.
20 seconds. And the Ukrainian fans start to count with the clock, and the Olympic champion once again has kept calm, cool and collected. Struggling a little maybe, I'm sure he won't put it that way in the first round. A silly mistake and a caution for Valentino in the second allowed Lomachenko to draw clear, and he's controlled the third round, and that's a tactical play in World Championship boxing. And for me here, it's Lomachenko who will go through to the final. It will be a big surprise to see Valentino not only take that round, but also take it with enough points to depose the Ukrainian.
You know, I mean, it was really nice to see Valentino come out the way he did in the first round. It was unexpected, and I didn't think he would actually take the lead over Lomachenko, but he did. And although it was only a point, it seemed like perhaps a portent of things to come. However, not to be outdone, Vasyl Lomachenko, as he always seems to do, not only found that a way to win, but found a way to win convincingly. And you're right, I think at this point it's just a matter of how many points. And look at the great sportsmanship from the two. Nice to see like two buddies who will go out for a walk in the park after this.
And there is the confirmation. Vasyl Lomachenko in the lightweight division is the first of the semi-finalists to progress to the last round of these World Championships. Great sportsmanship from Valentino of Italy. He knew he'd been outboxed. 17-11, the final score. And Ukraine have a boxer into the last round of the men's lightweight division. 4-3 to the Italian in the opening round, but didn't he bounce back with great skill? 9-3, 5-4. And the warning for Valentino turned the tables, and it is Lomachenko who goes through. Well, another one of the talented Cubans next to box to see who will join Lomachenko in that lightweight final. This is Yasnier Toledo, ranked 3 in this World Championship competition. This very quick, very dynamic Cuban, just 22 years of age, from Camagüey. Took the 2011 National Championship to earn his spot at these championships, up against Gani, Zhailauov from Kazakhstan, the more experienced boxer of the two at 26 years of age. Again, a national champion, and took the great Silkway tournament also in 2011, showing that he comes to these championships with good form and good confidence. Castle, you've been commentating on both of these lightweight boxers through the preliminary and the quarter-final rounds. Not a lot of results on the card for the Cuban, but has been holding his own with some of the big names and some of the ranked or seeded boxers in his earlier bouts.
That's right. I mean, he is ranked number 3 in the world, according to the AIBA World Rankings. He's a 2-time Cuban national champion himself, 2010 and 2011. So, by all means, and you said earlier in the afternoon, the Cubans always come correct to these world tournaments. It's almost just in their blood.
It is. They just continue to find new boxers for every major event. These are the boxers that they've got in mind, of course, for the London Olympics in 2012, less than a year away.
That's right. The London Olympics are right around the corner. It's, as you point out, less than a year away, and this is the first qualifying event. There will be continental qualifying events for each of these fellas around the world within their various regions, and they will get another chance, those that didn't get to qualify for the London Olympics in this tournament, to do so there. However, the people that we're watching right now, these guys on the screen, have already advanced. This is for bragging rights as who's the best in the world as of this week.
So there you have it. Toledo of Cuba is out of the red corner, and Zhailauov of Kazakhstan is in the blue. Veronika Zeuks of Hungary is the referee for this bout, and the winner of this semi-final will join Lomachenko from the Ukraine in the final.
Interestingly enough, Zhailauov lost to Lomachenko just earlier this year at the Makhar Mazet Memorial Tournament in the Ukraine by a score of 18-5. So even if he is able to get past the Cuban, he's going to have his hands full in the rematch tomorrow night.
Well, you'll certainly want to be betting against Lomachenko there, because when his confidence is high, he really is quite a sensational boxer. And I have to admit that this Cuban, again, as they always do, comes with the full set of skills, mixing up those early punches very nicely, good body blows, working with the jab, working with the combinations. The hook is very fast.
Yeah, well, what stands out even most right out of the gate, not just the long limbs and the long torso and the speed of Toledo, but also the educated jab. Look at the way he's able to use the jab to keep Zhailauov off of him. He showed it a little bit in the beginning of this round. You'll see him resort to it again, time and again, both as a rangefinder as well as to set up that big left. He is boxing in the southpaw style, as we've seen many of the boxers do. And the Kazaki, the shorter boxer, is going to need to find a way to get inside that jab, underneath, and start to rip shots, because it looks like the Cuban is already starting to pull away with a slight advantage.
It's a great start for the Cuban. He's throwing a lot of punches, not all of them hitting the target and scoring points, but certainly more than the Kazakh boxer. And covers up well the Cuban at the same time.
This is not the place that the Kazakh boxer wants to be. He does not want to stay on the outside of Toledo. He will not be. He'll just get picked off. He'll get picked off on long shots, and he won't be able to score on his own. He needs to use his feet, and he needs to use some good body work, shifting side to side. Bobbing and weaving would be the order of the day for Zhailauov.
There again, good jab. And then the left to the body. Effective, efficient work from the Cuban. Starting to frustrate Zhailauov now. And it's amazing how quickly those 3 minutes go by when you're watching two beautiful boxers like we have on our screens right now. But for me, it's a very impressive start for the Cuban. And the bell goes. Really, Zhailauov not coming with the right tactic and being unable to change his game plan during that first round. Look at the shots from the Cuban boxer in red. Covering up well, then there's the counter. And taking the Kazakh boxer by surprise, it looks like here as well, Castle.
Yeah, I don't think the Kazakh boxer realized, or if he didn't, he should have realized that these Cubans come correct. They don't mess around. They come with the fundamentals fully developed. And they come with a certain sense of smarts, ring smarts, that looks like it gets passed down from generation to generation.
It's in the blood, isn't it?
It sure is. And, you know, Zhailauov is going to need to change his game plan, as you rightly pointed out, Nick. And again, he can't box from the outside. It's as simple. They call boxing the sweet science. It's an art, but it's a science. This is the science that they refer to. It's about mathematical angles, and it's about distance and about spatial awareness. And Zhailauov is going to need to get inside. He can't box from the outside. He needs to press the action, use good footwork, and throw uppercuts and hooks, which he can only throw from short distance.
Well, you saw for yourselves the 4-point advantage for the Cuban, as was predicted. And again, Zhailauov takes a couple of nice combinations from the Cuban, right on the chin. And this is great boxing. But the Cuban, once again, accuracy and timing is sensational.
It's a piston-like jab that Toledo has. Look at the way that jab comes straight from his shoulder and right down the pipe, and he doesn't let Zhailauov get in close enough to return fire. Beautiful work by the Cuban.
Still light on the feet. And the angles that our expert has been telling us about have been clearly demonstrated by the boxer in red. He has got a long reach, though, as well, Castle. He's got a very long jab, almost deceptively long.
Yeah, and you know what? That's going to be a problem, you see, for Zhailauov, because he hasn't yet sensed the urgency to change his game plan. Whatever his corner told him in between rounds 1 and 2 doesn't seem to have sunk in. Now, don't get me wrong, this boxing we're watching here, it's much easier said than done, as you noted earlier, Nick, and it's not easy to get in on this great Cuban boxer. However, it doesn't even look like the Kazakh boxer is trying to change his game plan. This round looks much like the first.
I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. And I'm not sure whether the Kazakh boxer has that range. I mean, you see him dropping his hands in frustration there. He doesn't seem to know what to do, doesn't seem to have the answers. And if he drops his hands again, he'll feel those red gloves come pummeling in there, because Toledo knows exactly what he's doing. And he's going, and his rounds are going exactly as he's pre-planned, mapped it out before he's come to the ring. And you have to give all credit to the Cuban corner. They've calculated the tactic that's required, and it's working brilliantly. Again, we've got Toledo comfortably ahead in the second round, as he was in the first. Oh, again, look at that lovely jab. And the word piston-like really does sum it up.
Well, then you may like the word ramrod, because that's another thing that comes to mind when you see this Toledo just dropping the anchor. I mean, it's really, he throws it while advancing, he throws it while retreating. He throws it with his elite arm, and he sometimes switches and throws it with his rear arm. That jab, it's sometimes more effective than a rear-handed punch, because it's coming with such power. And the distance, it doesn't have to travel very far. He's using his spatial awareness perfectly.
Great skills from the Cuban. A frustrating round once again for Zhailauov. And again, there's that lovely little jab that you can't help but love to watch. And again, our card, we have Toledo comfortably ahead, extending on his advantage from the first round. And he doesn't, well, from that shot in the corner, he doesn't look to have broken sweat.
No, this Cuban is just, he's just going with, rolling through the motions at this point. I mean, he's probably had tougher sparring sessions in Cuba, and that's not to discount at all the skill set of Gani Zhailauov. But styles make fights, and in this instance, you've got the taller, faster, leaner, more fundamentally sound boxer who's using his jab as he ought to. And there it is.
Well, the graphic tells the story, doesn't it? Toledo 6-2, then 7-3. 13-5. I'm not quite sure what the answer for this Cuban is from the Kazakhstani boxer. But whatever it is, the plan of rounds 1 and 2 has not worked. And it's only now just a matter of keeping it clean, keeping out of trouble, keeping the Kazakhstani at range. And this is a comfortable victory for Toledo. And I have to say, it's quite a surprise. We expected a little bit more of a battle from Zhailauov coming into the semi-final.
Yeah, well, you know what? The Kazakhstani team is a wonderfully trained team. There's a lot of pride about boxing in Eastern Europe, especially in Kazakhstan. The Astana Arlans, they have a team in the World Series of Boxing. It shows their commitment to the sport. It shows their commitment to amateur boxing. And, you know, it's just unfortunate, like we say, in this battle of wills, in this manly art of self-defense, only one man can win. And in this case, it looks like Toledo is just going to get the better of Zhailauov tonight, unless, of course, Zhailauov could somehow change the tune here. It's not beyond the realm of a doubt. One punch could change the fight, Nick. It's not beyond the realm of reason that the Kazaki boxer can get in close enough, somehow stun the Cuban with a big punch, and completely send this whole crowd into a tizzy.
Frenzy. No, we've seen it in the prelims and the quarterfinals, some sensational knockout punches. The boxers unable to get up for the 10. But I think that the Cubans have got yet another. I'm not going to say Felix Savant on their hands here just yet, but they've got another superstar because he has boxed brilliantly. And I think this Cuban boxer in the red, Mr. Toledo, Yasnier Toledo, will make for an intriguing final against Lomachenko, because you couldn't see two distinctive or different styles if you chose to.
It's interesting you mentioned another Felix Savant, because in actuality, Felix Savant's nephew, Erislandy Savant, is indeed here this week. He was in this tournament. He got eliminated just the day before last in the quarterfinals. However, the Savant name continues to resonate in amateur boxing and in world boxing, for that matter.
Well, the name that the Cubans will be cheering is Toledo, not Savant here. We know the great Felix Savant won over 6 World Championship golds, but this young lad has been impressing us throughout this tournament, I have to say, and he continues to do so. His toughest task to date, and he has boxed beautifully. And there's no sign of nerves, no sign of inexperience. And as our expert in the box, Carshel Chalice, has pointed out, they bring these Cubans ready to do the business, and this young lad is a prime example. These are better shots at last from Zhailauov, who's finally putting a few combinations together, but with only 30 seconds left on the clock and trailing by too many points. It's good, but too late.
And I want to point out the wonderful refereeing job being done by Veronica Zooks there. She's really letting these boxers box. All too often, with the clinches and with the clock stoppages, sometimes these bouts tend to get interrupted too much. But kudos to the referee. These two boxers are really putting on a great show. The Cuban clearly getting the better, but just the same, it's been a great and entertaining match to watch.
Just a couple of seconds, there goes the bell, and Yasnier Toledo, well, he came into this competition seeded 3. A lot of people didn't understand quite why, and now we do. Fantastic performance. Zhailauov, an established amateur boxer, has been comfortably beaten by the Cuban, and Toledo will go through to the final of the lightweight division to meet Lomachenko from the Ukraine, which promises to be something very special.
Yeah, I want to add something to that. I mean, the one thing that's going to be able to slow Lomachenko down is someone with the learned jab like Toledo. And I think that that's going to be a very intriguing, perhaps one of the most intriguing matchups of the finals, is this young Toledo against Vasyl Lomachenko.
It's all going to happen here in Baku tomorrow, the finals. There is the confirmation. Great tally, look at that, 21-9. Magnificent performance from Toledo. All 3 rounds comfortably. And we look forward to this talented Cuban taking on the Olympic champion Vasyl Lomachenko in tomorrow's lightweight final. Well, moving on to the next two semi-finals for the welterweight division. And this is a very interesting bout indeed. Kazakhstan up against Lithuania. On your screens, Serik Sapiyev, I should say, 28-year-old, 179 centimetres from Karaganda. Asian Games champion, bronze medalist in the 2009 World Championships, up against a relative newcomer, but I've really had my eye caught by this young man, and it's a difficult name to pronounce, Castle. Egidijus Kavaliauskas from Lithuania. He's come through the initiative called Road to Baku, and it was an opportunity for some of the less fortunate federations who maybe couldn't find the funds to train their athletes as well as they wanted to prior to these championships. And what that's meant for the Lithuanian is that he's been here in Azerbaijan since the 9th of September, full coaching, full training, full board and lodgings, and this lad is an absolute, well, the prodigy of that concept, and he has done the road to Baku very proud. It'll be interesting to see how he goes up against Sapiyev, a very established and experienced boxer from the amateur world, but this Kavaliauskas really has caught the eye. He's a solid boxer.
Well, not only that, but it's also important to note that this is indeed a rematch after Sapiyev already beat Egidijus 7-0 in the semifinals of the Felix Stam tournament in Poland just last year. So Jose Trueba from Cuba is going to have his hands full because these two guys know each other's style. That means they've had an opportunity to prepare, perhaps in a way more unique than other boxers who've never met before.
Well, Kavaliauskas must have had his confidence boosted. He's taken, well, I don't know any of you who were with us 24 hours ago, but he knocked out Freddie Evans. And didn't just put him on the canvas, knocked him out. Evans couldn't even get up after the count of 15, never mind 10. And that was a massive blow. It took us all by surprise because Freddie Evans was one of the few British boxers that was tipped to go all the way to the gold medal. And so let's see if he can maintain that form, and let's see if he can show us some of that big hitting form.
Yeah, two-time Lithuanian champ, so let's see if he has what it takes to unseat Serik Sapiyev.
Well, Sapiyev has come out immediately with a sense of urgency, wanting to get on with the business. No posturing, no sizing up here. There's Sapiyev immediately in with the jab. And I think the word from the corner of Sapiyev in the red is not to let this guy control. That's what Freddie Evans let happen for half of a round, and before he knew it, he was on the canvas. Looking to ruffle the feathers of the Lithuanian, the Kazakh boxer, and he's doing a good job.
And again, you'll note Sapiyev boxing in a southpaw stance and Kavaliauskas in the orthodox style.
Look how quick he wants to get at him. No time at all. He wants to score points, wants to put points on the board, but perhaps most importantly, as you quite rightly pointed out, that extra little bit of confidence for Sapiyev, having already defeated the Lithuanian once this year.
Yeah, and it looks like that may be a knockdown or maybe not. It could have been a slip just the same. It shows a sign that Sapiyev is able to chink the armor of Kavaliauskas.
And he's done it very effectively in the early minutes of this first round. Good tactical play, this by Sapiyev. I don't think we've seen Kavaliauskas throw a punch yet. Oh, there he goes. That's the big one that caught Freddie Evans. But he's going to have to be a little more accurate than that to catch out the Kazakh national champion. And again, those jabs and combinations scoring consistently.
Yeah, Kavaliauskas is going to need to stay away from the long-armed Sapiyev. He's going to need to start using more lateral movement as well. He needs to keep Sapiyev from being able to plant his feet and throwing those big punches. And the way to do that is to continue to circle away and to use more body and head movement to make him a more difficult target for Sapiyev. Right now, Sapiyev seems to be able to score at will and land whenever he so desires.
And he'll open up a healthy point score as well. Again, the jab working beautifully for Sapiyev.
They say this sport is easy if you have a jab, Nick.
And quite a serious bloody nose for Kavaliauskas. And again, the combination's working beautifully, and that gives the referee reason to stop the bout. And an 8-second count for the Lithuanian. Well, he's had a nightmare of a start, and it's going from bad to worse.
Yeah, it sure is. Right now, Sapiyev is throwing the boxing encyclopedia at Kavaliauskas, and he's going to have to do something, change the tide here in round 2, or this one might not go the distance.
We've got the red corner comfortably clear of the blue, and quite urgent work to the blooded nose of Kavaliauskas. What a great start for Serik Sapiyev, and I think he's caught the Lithuanian on the back foot. You got the feeling that Kavaliauskas was looking for a slow start, get into it, a bit of posturing, a little bit of sizing up, and Sapiyev was having none of that.
No. I mean, Sapiyev realizes that the only way to win is to jump out of the lead early and to hold on to that lead. He's beaten this guy before. That's an additional boost of confidence for him. He's the longer-arm boxer, and he looks like he's the more aggressive boxer. So, you know, the deck is really stacked against Kavaliauskas.
And this looks, well, the scores are coming through, and the headgear has been removed, and I do believe that the Lithuanian, Kavaliauskas, whether it's an injury to the nose that is causing, but he's throwing in the towel. It looks to me like this bout is already over, and what a big disappointment for all the Lithuanian fans if that is the case.
Yeah, we saw this happen earlier with the Chinese boxer, I believe it was, and, you know, it's really a formality at that point. They simply don't answer the call of the bell at the beginning of the round, and it could be an injury. It could be that his corner had seen enough. Either way, I think it was fait accompli. Serik Sapiyev was on his way to an easy victory, and whether it stopped here or continued, the outcome would have been the same.
Well, enough was enough. He was up 8-2 in the first round, 6 points clear. And a serious blow to the nose. And the Lithuanian corner say, that's it, we'll stop it right here, thank you. Great respect from both boxers, obviously the best of pals outside of the ring. But it's a retirement, the official term, with just a few seconds into the second round, which are the rules. Of course, the boxer has to wait for the bell of the second round. There's a confirmation of the first round score. Easy work for Sapiyev, and that's the reward for coming out of the ring from the moment the bell goes and going straight down to business.
Full bore.
Yeah. Well, we're taking a look at some of the slow motion replays of the Kazakh boxer, and when you look at it again, Castle, you start to see why that decision was taken. He was getting a real beating in there.
Yeah, I think so. It may have just been a mercy stoppage on the side of his corner. I mean, he may call it an injury. It may help, you know, assuage the loss, if you will. But at the end of the day, the important thing is that Sapiyev was just clearly the better man there tonight. And, you know, perhaps it was better that we didn't see him take any more shots to the head.
So the first of our welterweight boxers to go through to the final has been decided, Serik Sapiyev. And we now have a small break in proceedings before the next two semi-finalists come into the arena and to the ring. Taras Shelestyuk of the Ukraine up against Krishan Vikas of India. So the second semi-final in the men's welterweight division. And for the Ukraine, Taras Shelestyuk, 26 years of age, from the Sumy club. Ukrainian national champion for this year. Bronze medalist from the 2010 European Championships. And in the last World Championships 2 years ago, Milan in Italy, took 9th position. As for his opponent, a real fiery character. I've really enjoyed watching this lad box throughout the week. This is Krishan Vikas from India, just 19 years of age. And it's good to see the Indian National Boxing Association with a young teenage talent on their hands. He's a tall man as well, at 177 centimetres. He too won the national trials to earn his spot at these World Championships. Also won the Asian Games in 2010 in the lightweight category. So some 7 years the senior to the Indian boxer Shelestyuk. And let's see if he can put that to good use. One thing, Castle, that we can confirm from this young Indian boxer: fearless. He's had this approach in every one of his bouts with the ranked or seeded boxers. Everything to go for, nothing to lose. Let's give it a try. And so far, he hasn't put a box or a foot wrong. Yeah, no, I mean, he's been doing a great job. And not only that, we should point out, though, that he loves boxing here in Baku, Azerbaijan. In 2007, Vikas placed first in the AIBA Cadet World Championships, and then just last year at the AIBA Youth World Championships, got another gold all right here in this fine city of Baku. So he's trying to make this a hat trick of first places here in Azerbaijan. If he gets through tonight, he'll have his shot at it tomorrow. Well, it's so good to see the juniors make it through their ranks and then step into the seniors and be able to mix it just as well. But you can see that Shelestyuk is not going to be taught a lesson by this teenager, and if he gets his way, he'll sort it out as quick as he can. A very powerful start from the Ukrainian in the red, and trying to just let the Indian boxer know that you may have won in the junior categories, but it's a little bit tougher when you mix it with the big boys and the grown men. Well, that's right, and right out of the gate, you could see Shelestyuk looking to fight this one in a phone booth. I mean, he's ripping shots that can only be ripped from close range. He's already thrown a hook to each side of Vikas's body, and he's already thrown a couple of nice uppercuts. And you see he's willing to just put his hands up in the front of his face, to get his elbows in, and to just stay on the chest of Vikas. And you can see Vikas, perhaps not quite prepared for that style. He's going to try and circle away from that until he could gauge his game plan. Well, we've seen it in a couple of the semi-finals this afternoon and this evening here. Those boxers who come out and get straight into it. And again, these are good shots from Shelestyuk. Yeah, I like Shelestyuk's approach coming out. Vikas is a slightly taller boxer, a younger boxer, and perhaps a faster one, but it seems clear that Shelestyuk might be the stronger puncher. And as a result, he's going to try and impose that strength on the young Vikas, see if he can intimidate him in the early parts of this bout. I don't want to see too much hot shot type stuff from Vikas. He can't go in there thinking he could out-psych this guy. Shelestyuk is too good for that. Get ready for it, Castle, because I've been following this young Indian boxer from the prelims all the way through, round of 16 quarters, and now into the semis, and he does like a little bit of showboating. Nothing wrong with that if you're scoring the points and winning the rounds, don't get me wrong, but I'm not so sure Shelestyuk is the man to do it in front of. Well, they say if you can back it up, then it ain't showboating. However, Vikas still has to show he could back it up. Well inside the final minute of the opening round. The Ukrainian sticking to his plan. Some very strong, powerful infighting. Good left hook there from the Ukrainian.
I really like the...
And the uppercut as well, Castle. They're all hitting the target.
Absolutely. I really like the Ukrainian's approach here. He's just boring ahead. He's got his hands up high. He's got a great defense. He's not concerned at all, it seems, about getting hit by Vikas. Instead, he's only concerned about hitting Vikas. And Vikas has to be careful for that approach because Shelestyuk has a great shell in there, and he's ripping shots to the body, and I'm sure it's, you know, going to be pretty close, but the Ukrainian impressed me in that first round.
No, I totally agree with you. And the work rate is very high. Let's just make or hope that he's got the stamina to go with these powerful punches.
You saw right there, Nick. I mean, a left uppercut followed by 2 right hooks to the body. I mean, that's a beautiful combination from any boxer, let alone an amateur. And it's just, but to Vikas' credit, he stands right in there and trades with the guy. I just hope he's able to do that for 3 rounds.
Let's see what the judges have to say about this. Here in the commentary box, we have the Ukrainian just ahead. And, well, we're starting to get it right on a bit more of a regular basis than perhaps we were yesterday, which is nice to see. But Taras Shelestyuk goes too clear over Krishan Vikas. I'm not sure if the corner will get the young teenager to slightly change his game plan here, because a very effective and efficient start for the Ukrainian in red.
Yeah, I mean, Vikas's game plan should be quite clear. He can't trade blows with this guy. The guy's too strong and he's too good. He needs to stay on the outside and box. He's a fast kid. He's got long arms. He's got good movement. Why not start boxing? He's trying to punch with a puncher. He should box. He should use his God-given gifts right there and start circling and not keeping himself a steady target. Because if Shelestyuk keeps coming in like that with his hands high, Vikas is just going to keep eating big shots.
And here's the gameplay. Some like it, some don't. Some think it's all part of the process of unsettling the opponent. Well, you have to admit, a couple of nice shots from Vikas there, and he needs to put a few more in than that. He may be dancing a little bit with the shoulders and the arms, but he's got to score as well. The crowd certainly enjoying it.
Yeah, sure, they're getting their money's worth, as we all are. This has just been a fabulous tournament, and these semi-final bouts are just more of the same. Great, great entertainment.
Pummeling the rib cage of the Indian boxer. Now, if he's going to show us some nice footwork, put a couple of punches on the end of it.
See, what happens with Vikas is he can't get full extension on his punches when he's up close, and Shelestyuk knows that. Shelestyuk, the shorter arm boxer, is going to try and cramp his style. I'm surprised Vikas is still showboating. He was down on points going into this round. I imagine he's the same here, and that rabbit punch right there shouldn't have been allowed. Ukrainian should never have turned his back, but the Indian boxer should never have thrown a punch.
Caution from the referee. And again, we have seen some fantastic work from the pool of referees here, with such contrasting styles. Experienced boxers, WSB boxers. As the amateur world grows ever bigger, 570 athletes kick-started this competition from over 110 different national federations. And we have seen some brilliant performances, but again, Shelestyuk sticking to the plan. "25 seconds left in this penultimate round. First sign that we see a big sigh, looking a little tired, Shelestyuk. And the one thing that he's got to do is keep this rhythm going. The counters aren't going to the target from the Indian boxer, from our perspective here anyway.
Yeah, he's been staying on Vikas like a wet blanket, like brown on rice. And you know what? Vikas, to his detriment, hasn't really been able to figure out a solution to that. And I imagine once again that the Ukrainian's going to hold on to the lead, if not start to pull away just a bit.
It's not what we expected to see from the teenage boxer in the blue course. And
Ripped a nice body shot there, you can see from the replay. And he's, you know, good at throwing his hands. He's a wild puncher, a little too wild. I'd like to see him a little more refined. Perhaps that's his draw, because it's nice to see a long-armed, taller boxer, a la Tommy Hearns, also be a great puncher. But when you go up against a guy who's more compact, more fundamentals, this is what you end up getting. Look at the score there, Nick.
Now he's got a 4-point advantage now, Castle, and we have seen very few boxers turn that deficit around in the third and final round. Now, if I know this young teenager, and he is a teenager, and he could do maybe a little bit more discipline, or refinement is probably the better boxing term, he's going to come out of this and go absolutely wild. He's going to try everything that he can, not only to make up those 4 points, but to draw 4 clear. Watch the Indian boxer now try every little trick in the book. It might not be effective, but it's very entertaining.
Well, there's the jab. It's, I think, the first time Vikas has thrown a jab, and I think that would be an effective weapon if he were to continue using it. Sure, he has to score points, but come off the jab. The jab is a great way to set up a combination. Nice 1-2, straight down the pike, and sure enough, he was able to score with that one. Vikas.
Listening to his cornermen, I get the feeling here. They've finally figured it out. But have they figured it out too late, Castle?
Yeah, almost completely contravention to what you had suspected, him coming out like gangbusters. He seems to have slowed the pace in round 3 and maybe will try and box from the outside. It's only 4 points. While it's a lot, if he effectuates the game plan, he may just be able to come. And you know what? A warning throws 2 in your pocket. You never know how the tide can change.
Well, he's got 2 minutes to change that tide, to be precise. And again, he's going back to this dropping of the arms, pushing forward of the head. And that's lovely to watch and see, especially when the counter hits the target. Well, he did it there. But we've already seen Shelestyuk of the Ukraine. I've seen him score 2, 3 already as we go past the halfway point.
Yeah, and look at that peekaboo defense. And from that, he's able to counter with a big right hand to the head of Vikas. So again, Shelestyuk, just a more sound boxer fundamentally, and he doesn't really need to change anything. He just needs to do what he's been doing through 2 rounds, and he'll escape with an easy victory. Vikas ripping a left to the body now. And, you know, if for some reason he's continuing to throw 1 punch at a time, I'd like to see those jabs coming back and to throw combinations off of them. But with a minute left, I don't think you could change the spots of the...
I think it's a worthy note for looking forward to the final, is that Shelestyuk looking a little tired here. I think he's given the best that he can, and the punch rate, speed, and a lot more covering up now. Just wants to coast through these last 40 seconds.
As the seconds tick away, a big left hand by Shelestyuk just to add insult to injury. And
they can hear the crowd counting down the last 5 seconds. There is the bell. Well, there's a good indication how tough it becomes for a junior to come into the senior ranks, but credit where it's due for Krishan Vikas, at just 19 years of age, making the semi-finals in his first major senior world championship competition, picking off a bronze medal. Shows the quality of the junior ranks in the AIBA system as well. I don't think he's done enough, though, this time to take the semi-final away from Shelestyuk.
There you get a good snapshot of Dr. Wu, the president of AIBA, the gentleman to be credited with putting this great event together. Him and his staff, based out of Switzerland, working arduously for many months to be able to put on a show of this magnitude. And kudos to everyone, they and the Azerbaijani Federation.
There's a confirmation. And well done for Taras Shelestyuk from the Ukraine, who will join Sapiyev in the final of the men's welterweight division. And make sure you join us for that one tomorrow here from Baku, Azerbaijan. Confirmation that Vikas had actually just won the third and final round, but not by enough. Congratulations to the Ukrainian who goes into the final.
Well, Nick, as we step up in weight class, the light heavies and then the super heavies, either way, they both got the word heavy in it, and you know what that means.
You're getting excited, aren't you?
Yeah, this is some big punching power we get to see as they step up in the weight classes. And you look around this wonderful Heydar Aliyev Stadium and you start to get a view. There's not too many open seats. They're spotty. There's a few in the upper decks, and that's an unfair angle because the other angle you could see, if they show it, there really are a lot of people in this event, and there's not just the finals. That'll be tomorrow when I think we're going to be at a capacity crowd.
Expecting 6,000 plus tomorrow, which will make it very difficult for us to hear ourselves, particularly when you see the Azerbaijan boxers in the ring. But it's Russia and Cuba again in the first of these light heavyweight 81 kilo boxers, and the world number one for Russia is definitely the man tipped for top position here. Egor Mekhontsev, 27 years of age, 184 centimeters of height, out of the Dynamo Boxing Club and residing in Chelyabinsk, against another Cuban. You're starting to calculate, just like we are here in the commentary box, why they are the most successful amateur boxing country in the world. This is Julio Cruz, 22-year-old, again from Kamagai. Again, at this weight, the national champion, and qualifying to box at these World Championships by taking the Pan American qualifying event earlier this year. You've been focusing on these guys throughout the week, Castle, and again, contrasting styles, but both big, powerful boxing hitters.
Yes, and you know what's really interesting to note, they are both four-time national champions. Mekhontsev, four-time national champion Russia from 2008 through 11, and De La Cruz in Cuba, same thing, same years. Four-time Cuban national champ, 2008 to 2011. So, I mean, this is really where the rubber meets the road. This is two of the boxing capital's greatest in Russia and Cuba coming together to square off in the center of the ring, and they both bring a lot of power. This is great. This is one of the bouts I've really been looking forward to this evening.
The thing, or the reason why Castle Mekhontsev is world ranked number one, he's defending his title. He won this 2 years ago in Milan, and he also won the European title in Moscow. He's a big star back home in Russia, Egor Mekhontsev, and one of their fighters tipped for Olympic glory in London 2012. But we've seen the Cubans throughout today and throughout this competition spoil the party of a lot of favoured boxers. And let's see if Julio Cruz can do the same again.
Well, you know, it's interesting, but this is perhaps a little avenged, because while you rightly noted, Nick, that he won in Milan in 2009, well, you failed to mention that it was over another Cuban, a gentleman by the name of Asme Acosta, with a score of 12-2. So perhaps this is De La Cruz's chance to get one back on behalf of his fellow countrymen.
He likes to think he can eat the Cubans for breakfast. Let's see if he can do it again.
The breakfast of champions. Again, we see a southpaw in Mekhontsev pitted against an orthodox boxer in La Cruz. You're going to want to see the boxers circle away from the big power punches. So you're going to want to see La Cruz start to circle to his left, away from that big left hand of Mekhontsev, and conversely, Cruz to his right. Rather,
just a slight height advantage for the Russian, not too much, but when they're both jabbing, you can see that the advantage looks to be with the Russian in the red corner, remember.
Cruz cautiously backing up, but then there's a nice quick advance, and he's going downstairs to the body, which I like to see early on, perhaps trying to get Mekhontsev attuned to the body shot so he could come back upstairs. It's often a tactic we see when you got the bigger punchers. You try and throw shots to the body to get them to drop their hands, to be prepared for that body shot. Once they do, you come back with that big overhand punch to the head, and there's a sneaky right hand by Cruz, which looks like it caught the chin of Mekhontsev.
He's working well with his jab on the right hand, the Russian, but has yet to make good contact with the left. And the jab is effective for the Russian, but no combinations as yet. And again, Cruz looks to have the speed and this ability to counter, almost read the mind of the Russian. Oh, good combination. The referee telling him not to spin around. Warning, caution, not a warning, my mistake. If it was a warning, it really would start to make this first round look a little different.
Pretty even so far, I would say. I'd like to see a little more offense by Cruz. It looks like he's perhaps going to wait till the second round to turn it on. Mekhontsev seemingly more willing to engage, but pretty close all the same.
Yes, I think you're right there, Castle. Both boxers evenly matched. Both boxers just trying to see which will be the most effective punch to score the points. But for me, I just love the speed of the Cubans. You can't help but all of a sudden on that counter, you don't see it coming, and it just comes from nowhere.
And with the fluidity, it is indeed poetry in motion.
Lovely to watch. And that's what I'm sure Mekhontsev and his corner have been watching very carefully. A lot of homework, I'm sure, Castle, done before each match. There's confirmation it is all square at 5-5.
Yeah, it's also interesting to note most of the Cubans in this tournament have come in quite tall, as tall if not taller than their opponents. So that always gives a tactical advantage in boxing if they use their weapons properly. And as we know, the Cubans are nothing if not fundamental. They're very keen on their fundamentals, and they bring it to bear every time they step in the ring.
Their drills and skills in the gym are something that they practice for hours on end. Now, who's going to make the first move in the second round? All square at 5 points each.
It's been quite a tactical matchup so far, and now both boxers really starting to let their hands go, and this is the first clinch I think we've seen in the bout. There's that right hand to the body again by Cruz. Those points score as long as it's a clear, unobstructed punch by the front of the glove landing on the face of the body. It's a point. So there's some nice engagement as well.
Oh, again, a lovely counter from the Cuban, just as Mekhontsev starts to feel that he's got a little bit of control, pushing the Cuban, and again, a lovely 1-2 from Cruz.
Do you get the impression, though, Nick, that Mekhontsev feels like he's starting to close the gap? You know, Cruz is doing such a good job with his legs, and he's doing such a good job of staying away. Mekhontsev, on the other hand, is very much trying to cut off the ring. He's not quite doing a good enough job of cutting it off, though. If he's going to continue to come forward, I'd like to see him try and cut off Cruz a little more, because right now Cruz looks like he's just going to pick him off at will.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Mekhontsev looking to let some of his big punches out now.
See, he seems like he's following Cruz around the ring, and he shouldn't just be following him. He should be anticipating where Cruz is going to go. And now Cruz's footwork is really starting to show.
Looking a little frustrated, the Russian in red. He's got to watch that he doesn't land too many blows with the inside of the glove Egor, Mekhontsev. Julio Cruz for Cuba, still on his toes, still light on the feet, dancing around the ring, picking off with the jab. Oh, a lovely body shot there. As our expert in the box, Vasyl Chalice, has pointed out, they score, and he's probably put 4 or 5 of those down in this round.
Yeah, I think what Cruz has been doing so far has been working well. I just don't know if he'll be able to maintain that for one more round. He's doing a lot of sticking and moving, which works. It worked for a guy named Muhammad Ali. And look at that. It's just going to be very, very interesting to see how this third round unfolds with these boxers staying, for the most part, evenly matched.
This was the main exchange of the round. And again, I think, as you pointed out, Vasyl, picking him off with that jab, I'm sure that the Cuban has picked up some nice points with those body punches. And there you go. Well, I had them even again, but this time just 1 point ahead for Cruz. And now 12-11 going into the third and final round of 3 minutes. And change of tactic, or does Cruz keep sticking with the same plan?
Yeah, you know what? I just got this sneaky suspicion, Nick, that Egor Mekhontsev is not quite done yet. I think he's got a few more tricks up his sleeve. I think he's been holding back a little bit, and I think we're going to see a sense of urgency. He's shown that when he is able to cut off Cruz's path, he's able to land some big shots, and I don't know if Cruz will be able to continue to avoid that for 3 more minutes. We're going to find out, though.
Well, for the first time in this World Championship, the top-ranked boxer is trailing. He hasn't been behind in any of his fights, and now the pressure is on the Russian in red. And Cruz continues to dance his way around the ring, pick off the boxer. And Mekhontsev now means business here. Immediately wants to get on with it.
Nice double jab by Mekhontsev. He just needs to throw that from a little closer range.
If he can just get those combinations to connect, would be a very different story. But you have to praise the footwork and the maneuverability of Julio Cruz.
Yeah, and Mekhontsev, I mean, he's kept his composure for much of this, but I think he's going to need, especially since he came into this round on down 1 point, he's going to need to step it up a little bit. He's going to have to start throwing more punches and bunches, some combinations, and try and catch Cruz, because this one punch at a time stuff is not going to continue working for him, at least not with 1 minute and 30 seconds to go.
Absolutely. If you're 4 points clear, then that's clearly the tactical plan to go for. But when you're trailing by 1, with a very fast punching, that's a little more like it from Mekhontsev. Finally getting the combination to score. Back of the head, warning, caution from the referee.
Yeah, I don't know that that was it doesn't really have much significance, but it seemed like that was more a result of Cruz's head movement. The punch seemed to already have taken off the runway, if you will, by the time it landed on the back of the head of Cruz. You know, conventional wisdom says a good boxer generally beats a good puncher. And in this instance, while Cruz is doing some good boxing, mostly from the outside, the puncher in Mekhontsev hasn't really had an opportunity to land much of what he's thrown. He seems like he's getting close, but every time he seems to graze the surface of Cruz is able to thwart that with fancy footwork and good body movement.
And there's another good shot from the Cuban. And there's only 5 seconds. This is one of those fights where you're happy to be behind the mic and not on the judging committee. Very close. Confident. The bell, Cruz. Has Mekhontsev done enough in that third round? Very difficult to see.
Yeah, it was just a point. I mean, you know, I did feel that Cruz was on his bicycle a little bit in that last round, and while the judges can't take a point away for that lack of engagement, you know, they may have subconsciously felt that Mekhontsev had done enough in that round by way of scoring blows, although my sense tells me Cruz is going to eke out a close one.
Remember, in the blue, the Cuban boxer went into the third and final round with just a 1-point advantage. And does that advantage give him enough to go all the way through to the final? He's got it. Well, that is a great result in the men's light heavy division for Julio Cruz. The 14th ranked boxer knocks out the number 1 ranked boxer in this competition, and in the semi-finals, 21-15. A great performance from the young Cuban who goes into the final, and he will watch the next bout very carefully to see who his opponent will be. And the second semi-final of the men's light heavy division. Kazakhstan go against Iran. Kazakhstani boxer Adilbek Niyazbetov up against the Iranian Ishan Ruzbahani. Again, Castle, two boxers that have really dug deep to get this far in the competition.
Yes, Rasulev has already been to 2 world championships in Chicago and Milan. So this is his 3rd visit. He lost to Russian Artur Beterbiev in 2009 in Milan. Adilbek Niyazbetov beat number 6 ranked Hyun-Kyu Kim of Korea 14-9 earlier in this tournament, and he KO'd Jason Monroy of Colombia at just 40 seconds into round number 2 of their matchup. Then Fanlong Mang of China retired in their bout at 2:26 of round number 3. So that's what got him here today.
So the 5 judges, France, Turkey, England and Lithuania, and our referee in charge of this competition. The winner of this bout will meet Cruz. Asenau is the ref. Three 3-minute rounds. The Kazakh boxer in the red corner, Rasulov of Uzbekistan in the blue. Niyazbetov, like many before, wanted to get on with it immediately. Slightly taller, Rasulov from Uzbekistan, but pretty evenly matched in height and reach, these two.
Yeah, they look like they could be twin brothers, 2 peas from a pod. They're very evenly matched physically, and as well as athletically and amateur boxing experience, they're both quite similar. So we'll see. This may just be a question of who brought more fans to this stadium today. Who could will their man through? Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. two more nations with rich boxing tradition. Short right hand, a cute right hook by Rasulov as Adilbek turns to avoid it.
Well, I noticed as well, Castle, that the crowd cheer for him by his Christian name rather than his surname. Adilbek is the cheer from the crowd. Rather much easier to put your clapping together to Adilbek than it is to Niaziembetov.
Well,
Niaziembetov.
Well, well done, and perhaps I'd like to, you know, we could go with Adilbek and Elshot if it works for you, Nick.
I actually asked him in the hotel how to pronounce his name. Well, again, pretty evenly matched. But
lunging right hand by Rasulov.
Yeah.
That was nice. Look at the way Rasulov bends at the waist. It's one of the lessons you learn in amateur boxing, but later on they don't teach that to the kids. Breaking at the waist is a very difficult task to master. It's both a defensive and an offensive skill. It allows you an opportunity to get inside to your man as well as slip his punches from close range. And Rasulov clearly has mastered that art.
oh, lovely hook there from Niaziembetov, Kazakhstan.
One thing that strikes me about both these boxers is their balance. They do a great job keeping their weight central and their legs shoulder length apart, and as a result, they're equipped to advance, retreat, or step side to side at a moment's notice.
Well, difficult to separate the two boxers. Again, happy for the judges to do that. I would imagine each and every one of them have got them very close. If one is ahead of the other, it will be by the narrowest of margins. But good work. And again, as you were explaining to us, that twisting motion, giving them so much power with those hooks.
Yeah, that really is. You know, that hook gets derived from, again, like all punches, comes from the leg, but you could see that these two guys really know how to throw it. They're masters at it. It's beautiful to see.
Well, Niaziembetov from Kazakhstan has just 1 point advantage over Rasulov from Uzbekistan. And we'll see the pace get picked up a little bit in this second round now.
Notice how Rasulov jumped off his stool at the end of round two. I guess you could call that a case of fresh legs.
He wants to get on with it. So Rasulov for Uzbekistan in the blue. Niaziembetov for Kazakhstan in the red, but it's the blue corner that's trailing by one to the red.
Yep, and Rasulov came out throwing a double and triple jab, and you see it there again. Really nice to see that double, triple jab. Keep it in the face of Adilbek, not let him see the left hand coming right behind it. Look at the focus on both of these boxers. They're looking right through their eyebrows at their opponent.
Niaziembetov again, more good work with the jab.
Now, it's Niaziembetov as Rasulov up against the ropes. Rasulov is going to need to pick up the pace a little bit here. He came into this round down by one. He's looking to get back that point and more. But Niaziembetov doing a good job now, as you pointed out, with that jab, Nick. And now it looks like it could turn into a battle of jabs here in the middle of round two. A little wrestling going on there in the center of the ring to keep things interesting. Look at Radulov ripping body shots on the break. They may not be clean, but they can't tickle the ribcage of Niazembetov either.
Radulov still prepared to mix it up, attack with different styles. The jab, the hook, still nice and sharp. Still very close.
Now those chants could either be saying Rasulov or they could be saying Kazakhstan. It's a big difference.
Well, we're in the last few seconds of the second round. And the red corner had the advantage after the first. Niazembetov. And let's see if that he can extend on that. He put in a lot of good work. The jab, for me, the most effective and consistent point scorer. There it is again. This time around the outside with the hook. And again, the counter there. Very quick.
Yeah, I mean, Niazembetov is doing a great job counterpunching, as you point out. I mean, he started to pick that up in the second. He's been using his jab more, whereas Radulov seemed to be using it in the first half of that round. It's Adilbek that came back with some good jabbing and good counterpunching, and look at the score there, 8-5 now. So slowly and surely, Adilbek's pulling away from this race. 3
clear going into the third and final round. Remember, 3 3-minute rounds in amateur international boxing, and a very closely contested bout. But he's been building and building consistently. And now with a 3-point advantage, you can see a slight sense of urgency with the approach, the style, and the need for points from Radulov in the blue.
Yeah, and there's no reason why, again, as we've said this before, when you're down with just under 3 minutes to go and you're down 3 points, that's a point a minute. I mean, there's not a lot of time here for Radulov to change his game plan, and he needs to work behind that jab effectively, as he did in the first half of round 2, and try and score with some good combinations. Another thing Radulov was doing, he was doubling up and tripling that jab. A very effective way to start scoring points, but here comes Adilbek.
Adilbek, Niazembetov, also showing that he can double and triple with his jab.
Good body shot by Radulov.
Very nice. And follows it up with a good 1-2. Radulov, as we've seen with all the semi-finalists, is going to take this right to the wire. Every possible second he'll try and score. But it's all about the points over the 3 rounds, not the one. Very few have been able to turn it around in the third and final, having lost the opener and the second round.
Some dirty boxing here, some infighting taking place as both of these boxers trying to exert their will. Some nice head movement there by Adilbek. Radulov not showing the urgency here. There he's trying to rip his hands free, but he needs to start letting his hands go. He needs to start throwing more punches. The referee will caution Niazembetov there, but might not be enough to slow him down.
Better shots from Radulov. But with just a minute left on the clock, they need to come a lot quicker, and he needs to hit that target much more consistently.
There's a nice lead right hand to the belly by Radulov. However, if you noticed, he lost about 12 seconds while Niazembetov was clinching him, and these are valuable seconds. You see how Adilbek is going in for the clinch each time they meet. Doesn't work in Radulov's favor at all.
Oh, good jab. And he needs to put together some good combinations here. Yasnier now going for the spoiling tactic, we can clearly see. But with 25 seconds on the clock, can the Uzbeki boxer Rasulov turn it around? Turn around 3 points that he lost in the first and 3 points that he lost in the second. Now it's just off the 10-second mark.
Doesn't look like Rasulov did quite enough. May have shaved a few points off that deficit. Not sure that he did enough to overturn the results after 2 rounds.
I think I agree with you there. There goes the bell. And Adilbek, Yasnier, I think, has done enough to go up against Cruz of Cuba in the final of the men's light heavy division. But let's leave it to the judges. Once again, both boxers with 100% commitment. Taking the first and the second round. I think they're evenly matched on the third, certainly by my note card here in the commentary position. Here's the decision. Yasnier in the red. And he's been given it, as we thought. We'll wait for the confirmation graphic to give us the detail of that third and final round and the total score. But Adilbek, Yasnier, 11-9, just by 2 points, goes through to meet La Cruz of Cuba in the final. Well, Rasulov actually won that last round by 4-3. But it wasn't enough and goes out by 2 points. And another boxer books himself a spot in the final after putting in good work in rounds 2 and 3 and holding on in the third and final clash. So the last weight category to be decided this evening is, of course, the super heavyweights. And here's Big Josh from England, Anthony Joshua, 21-year-old rising star out of Team GB and from the Finchley Boxing Club of North London. This young lad is making headway at a rapid rate and will be remembered in these World Championships, if for nothing else, for knocking out the Italian Olympic and reigning world champion. And Eric Pfeiffer of Germany, a former European champion, twice a national champion, is a worthy opponent for Joshua. Castle, I want to ask you a quick question before we get into this bout. We can read the graphics and the skills, but you calling the fight between Camarelli and Anthony Joshua, and was he as good as we read in the papers this morning?
He sure was. I mean, this guy continues to impress me. I've been watching him since the preliminaries began, and Anthony Joshua is really built for this sport of boxing more than any other sport. He's got the height, he's got the strength, but he's also got the smarts, and he's got the composure. I mean, up against a guy like Camarelli, the reigning AIBA world champ, gold in 2007, gold in 2009, and here comes young Anthony Joshua, seemingly out of nowhere, certainly off the world radar, so it would seem, and boom, he's blasting through the competition at an alarming rate, and I have him picked as my early favorite to take gold in this tournament.
Well, Rob McCracken, the performance director from British Boxing, the British Amateur Boxing Association, has put a lot of faith in this young lad. He really has. And Anthony Joshua is rewarding those people that have helped him out, put faith in him and given him a chance when, for many times in his life, he's had things stacked against him rather than in his favour. He's going to turn a few heads and right a few wrongs. Hopefully he can do it in the semi-final. If he gets to the final, who knows what might happen. Let's see how he settles in the early exchanges. Pfeiffer for Germany in the blue, the English rising star Joshua in the red.
I mean, if for nothing else, look at how impressive his size is. I mean, he's really built. He's got pipes for arms. He's got a cobra's neck or back, if you will, the way that V taper, and he really uses his feet well. I mean, for a big man, he's strong and he throws straight punches. Notice the straight punching by Anthony Joshua, the best type of punching to throw.
Also for a big man as well, he's got some agility in there. He can move quickly, he can move out of trouble. Those angles that you were explaining to us with some of the lighter men, Joshua has those skills as well.
Yeah, he's really well grounded, and Rob McCracken has done a wonderful job with him to date. Quite a formidable opponent for any of the men in this World Championships. Not the least of which Mr. Camarelli, who sensed that firsthand.
Olympic champion and world champion, knocked out in the quarterfinals by Anthony Joshua. Now let's see if he can dispose of Pfeiffer and book himself a spot in the last round. It's a good start by Big Josh, as they call him. Only 21 years of age. He'll celebrate his 22nd birthday on the 15th of October. Wouldn't that be the perfect birthday present? Nice little gold medal around your neck.
Yeah, it sure would. He could wear that one with pride.
And something not quite right with the headgear of the German boxer. 24 years of age. Fair to say Eric Pfeiffer's got a good reputation. Good straight-up boxer, Pfeiffer. And a European title to his name back in 2009. But look at this, a very bloody nose. That can't help your confidence as a boxer, surely.
No, I mean, this is perhaps a payback. The Battle of Britain, Part 2. I mean, the German may be coming on strong, but the British boxer is going to stand his ground. He will not let the German penetrate. And as you could see there, some great punching right down the middle, and he's bloodied the nose early in the first round of Eric Pfeiffer.
He's put some big punches in. You can see the size of Joshua, and there's a little more urgency now to the counter-attacks from the German. He knows that he can't afford to take any more big hits from Anthony Joshua, and again he's got to go back to the ring.
Yeah, this is going to be a problem, I think, for Pfeiffer throughout the remainder of this round. He may just be a bleeder, and once it starts, it's really hard to stop. And you know what? Even if the doctors are able to stop it, it's not going to be long before Joshua opens it up again. Those straight punches are coming with such force. And I think that's it. It is.
Oh, my goodness me. What a magnificent performance. England's Anthony Joshua has done it again. Have they stopped the fight in the first round? Enough is enough. Those big, heavy blows. Or am I mistaken?
It sure was. And you know what? The blitz.
It's over. Oh, I can't believe it, Castle.
The blitzkrieg that was Eric Pfeiffer, no more. And Anthony Joshua now sitting at the top of the heavyweight or super heavyweight division. He'll have one more man to get through tomorrow night.
Hadn't even reached the halfway point of the first round, and Britain's new star of the super heavyweight decision books himself a spot in the final. Do we have the next Audley Harrison on our hands here, the last heavyweight to win Olympic gold in Sydney in 2000? This man's already on his way to London 2012, and now he's on his way to the final of the World Championships. The referee stops the contest halfway through the opening round.
And not only that, but such a humble young man. Look at this. He's going around. He makes sure his opponent is okay. He thanks the referee, and now he looks to the fans and he thanks them as well. This is someone you really need to look out for. Anthony Joshua, a rising star.
What a night for British boxing. 3 out of 4 have gone through to their final round. Selby is through. Campbell is through. And now Big Josh from Finchley in London has booked himself a spot in the finals of the World Championships here in Azerbaijan. And this man just goes from strength to strength, knocking out the Olympic and world champion in the quarterfinals. Now he's disposed of Germany's best in the semis. Now, who's he going to meet is the next part as we move on to the last bout of the night.
Well, I could tell you who he's going to meet, but I don't think I need to, because you could hear it from the crowd. He is meeting Azerbaijan's best, their super heavyweight, who doesn't have one RSC in this tournament, Nick, and no, he doesn't have two. All three of his contestants have been stopped early, and he's going to now go in there and try and make it a fourth and get to the top of the mountain tomorrow night against Anthony Joshua. If he can, the walls may come crumbling down here at the Heydar Aliyev Sports Center.
Yeah, listen to the cheer from the crowd. The name of the Azerbaijani boxer that Castle is referring to is Magomedrasul Medzhidov, world rank number 2. He's a World Series boxing fighter. He's out of the Baku Fires. Second in the individual finals on the World Series of Boxing. Russian-born, but an Azerbaijan boxer now. Both his brother and cousin successful boxers. He's been training in Miami. I know, Castle, you know a lot more about this than I do, but he's been sparring with the likes of Oliver McCall, Sherman Williams, Ray Austin, Mike Momo. His goal is to win the Olympics and then turn pro. And the question is it going to happen here? The boos are for the first men out, who will be in the red corner. This is Ivan Dichko from Kazakhstan, 21 years of age, 6'7", 102 kilos, national champion. A very tall, powerful opponent for the big man from Azerbaijan.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you mentioned he has been training in Miami. Another great Olympian that comes to mind that trains out of the 5th Street Gym, the great one, Muhammad Ali. So Miami and Angelo Dundee have a long, storied history of producing Olympic champions right out of Miami, although at the time, Ali would have been coming from Louisville. However, certainly throughout the majority of his professional career, training out of the 5th Street Gym in Miami. So Ivan Dichko is really going to have his hands full, particularly once the crowd starts to get a full bore. And I think they're only at about 10% right now.
This man is a giant, the Kazakhstani boxer Dichko. Here's Medzhidov.
They say the bigger they are, the harder they fall, Nick. Might we get a taste of that tonight?
World rank number 2 and rank number 2 from the World Boxing Series for last season. And the start of the new WSB Tour is just under a month away. 12 teams will be battling it out. David Luardo, the referee from the United States of America, who will meet Britain's Anthony Joshua in the final of the Super Heavies. Well, if there's 5,000 spectators got anything to say about it, it is the man in the blue corner. But look how big Dichko is in the red. And tell us, Castle, what is the tactic for the smaller man against the giant from Kazakhstan?
Well, you know what? Whatever I think seems to be probably irrelevant, because I could tell you what Medzhidov thinks, because I've watched his first 3 bouts, and he thinks the surest way to victory is to plow his way through. And you know what? With a big puncher that he is, I would have to agree. You're going to probably see him try and get inside that long jab of Dichko and try and lay the heavy shots to the belly and, more importantly, to the head. He definitely swings for the fences, Medzhidov, and he has the power behind both hands to do it.
Good start for the Kazakhstan boxer in red, and boxing cleverly, using his reach, using his height. It's good jab work. He's scoring. It might not be exciting, it might not be dramatic, but it's points that bring prizes in amateur boxing. And it's a good start from Dichko. He's not afraid of this opponent and showing good skills, staying calm.
Right, but he needs to be cautiously aware. He cannot really, I don't believe, he does not want to get into a slugging contest with this big slugger. I think he needs to stay focused, use that jab, and box from the outside. And if he does, he may just stand a chance at outpointing the Azerbaijani boxer.
That's got to be his game plan here. It's got to be the tactic for Dichko. As you said at the start of this bout, Medzhidov has stopped every opponent throughout this tournament, and he's looking to do the same here. With Dichko ahead by my account, halfway through the first round.
Now, Dichko should keep his hands up. He should never get comfortable, not for one moment, not with this big puncher who packs a wall up in both hands. He needs to keep both his hands up, does Dichko, and use that jab, because one lunging left by Medzhidov is all it's going to take for lights out for Dichko.
And Medzhidov trying his best to draw in the Kazakh boxer. Trying to put together his first combinations, Medzhidov. Oh, there's one of those big hits.
That's that big right hand, Nick.
Over the top, right on target, and Dichko's feeling it already. And Medzhidov can sense that he's hurt, wounded, the Kazakhstani boxer. For the first time, with 25 seconds to go in the opening round, and Dichko feels the force and power of Medzhidov.
Now Medzhidov doing a decent job going back to boxing. However, I got to tell you, I'm really concerned about his hands being so low. It's a recipe for disaster when a boxer boxes with his hands so low, and that's unbelievable. That's the end of the round.
Well, the crowd can see the scoreboards in front of the ring before you can. We've got to be honest here. And the huge cheer is for nothing more. The graphic will be up in a couple of seconds. And Medzhidov has got the advantage. I didn't have it that way. I had it the other way round on my score. But as we said earlier, I haven't been right that many times this week. And I think that those points from Medzhidov have come from some pretty effective and efficient body punches. There was that big right that really thundered in. There is the confirmation. And the reason why you hear the big cheer before you see the graphic. Medzhidov 4, Dichko 3. 1 point in it.
Yeah, and one thing you could notice already in the corner, Medzhidov looking a little bit tired in there, taking deep breaths. He doesn't look like he's in the best shape that he could be in, maybe carrying a few extra pounds, and I hope he didn't punch himself out in round number 1. The style he's employing of chasing Dichko around the ring, throwing big bombs, is only going to serve to tire him out and really come back to haunt him if it doesn't work out in his favor, because the third round may be an opportunity for Dichko to take advantage, as long as Dichko does not fall too far behind on the scorecard.
Sticking to his plan, Dichko. Same tactic in the second as the first. Using the jab, keeping Medzhidov at bay. Trying to avoid this. Good jab again from Dichko in red.
Dichko should be using that jab both as an offensive and a defensive weapon. Defensive to keep Medzhidov off of him, and offensive to set up the big right hand.
Halfway through the second round. Medzhidov has the 1 point advantage from the first. Oh, better work from Dichko. The combination's starting to work. Maybe you were right, Castle. Is Medzhidov starting to get a little tired?
Yeah, well, Dichko is really going to stay on that jab like that. And look at those long right hands. He brings them straight on. And Medzhidov's problem will be that if Dichko really does start to gain some confidence off of that jab in this round, and Medzhidov is unable to capture him with the big haymakers that he's throwing, might Dichko be able to start to pull away in the third round? Might Dichko be pulling away in this round? It was only 1 point margin going into the second.
Dichko tries his big right. Oh, Medzhidov even picks up the giant from Kazakhstan, puts him on, throws him on the canvas.
The old bull rush. Now what is going on here? The referee is sending Dichko to the neutral corner as he does the same for Medzhidov. There's 39 seconds left in round number 2, and the doctor is coming to check the nose of Medzhidov, although it's interesting I don't see blood. The referee may have seen something that we haven't.
It's right on the top of the nose that's bleeding. For the first time in this second round, the combinations start to come through from Medzhidov. The crowd are on their feet once again. Oh, big punches from the Azerbaijani boxer. 10 seconds and counting. Can he put in a few more before the bell goes to finalize the second?
It's like chopping down a redwood tree. One strike of the axe at a time.
Well, the crowd delighted with that. Once again, they get to see the scoreboard before you, our viewers, and thus the reason for the huge cheer. But a flurry again, Castle, of great punches from 15 seconds to the bell. From Medzhidov, of course.
Yeah, you know, I mean, he's maintained his lead through 2 rounds. Again, conventional wisdom says that the Azerbaijani boxer wins by laying out the opponent, by stopping his man in the tracks. However, the Kazakhstani boxer, the taller boxer, the longer arms, perhaps the more effective jab, has been outboxed by the Azerbaijani boxer. So go figure.
Medzhidov now draws still 1 point clear, and they tie for that round at 4-4. Still nothing between these two super heavyweights. This is the third and final round, and both the boxers will know that they've got to put a little bit more out there to secure their place in the final and to meet the English boxer Anthony Joshua. Good jabs, as we've seen all through these 3 rounds from Dichko to get the action underway. Medzhidov looking for the big hit, as he has been all through the bout and as he's been dishing out all through this championship.
Straight jabs by Medzhidov. They're doing him wonders. He would be well served to keep turning, though, to use his lateral movement. He doesn't need to stand there and make himself an easy target for Medzhidov. He should make Medzhidov work for that big shot. If he's going to land it, he should have to work for it. Otherwise, it's just like hitting a heavy bag in the gym. And here comes Medzhidov pushing the action. You hear it from the crowd. He's able to get Dichko back on the ropes. And Medzhidov has apparently enough energy in the tank to keep throwing bombs 1 minute into the 3rd round.
As if on cue, Medzhidov raises his game, digs deep and puts another set of another combination together, and his jab's working. Straight jab punch, and Dichko's hurt. There's another wonderful hook. And the referee is going to give Dichko a count, understandably so. Not as many punches as perhaps we'd like to see, but those that are going through are really hurting the Kazakhstani boxer.
Yeah, Nick, that left hand by Medzhidov buckled the knees of Dichko, and you saw it right away, and so did the ref, hence the standing 8. And now Dichko is looking on Queer Street. Will he be able to make it through the final minute and 20 seconds of this round?
Is Medzhidov of Azerbaijan going to stop another opponent? It's known as an RSC. The referee stops the contest, but the American ref happy for this to continue. Just over a minute in the 3rd and final round. You know, so far now, Medzhidov, by our account here in the box, ahead.
Medzhidov's punches land with such a thud, like a ferry pulling into the slip. They really bang when they land.
Oh, and he's still putting them together. Dichko's out of gas.
He needs to use his jab, Nick, more than ever. He needs to, for survival's sake, his instinct needs to be to get his hands up and use his jab to keep Medzhidov off him. Again,
referee wants to look at the cut right on the bridge of the nose of Medzhidov. It's not a bloody nose from the nostril, it's just right on the top, or the bridge as we call it. But again, it doesn't seem to deter Medzhidov. 30 seconds left in this 3rd and final round, and the local hero still has more to give.
Dichko with a little hop on his step.
Yeah, slip there from Medzhidov. Sorry, Castle.
No, this is great boxing. It's exciting. Very exciting boxing right here.
Uppercut seemed to go through from Dichko. Tough to see from this angle here. You can hear the crowd counting down the seconds. What a brilliant third and final round from the second-ranked boxer in this competition. And Magomedrasul from Azerbaijan surely pulled it out of the fire in that third and final round with those big punches that we've been enjoying throughout these AIBA World Championships. Brave performance from Ivan Dichko, but I'm not sure he's done enough. And he may have the crowd on his side, but he's let his boxing do the talking in this semi-final.
Yeah, Medzhidov is just, you know, a beast. He really is. He's a mauler, he's a brawler, and he's a beast of a man. And I pity anyone that has to stand in there and trade punches with him. Dichko, to his credit, just withstood the barrage, the fuselage of punches that came from Magomedrasul Medzhidov. Now we await the score. One man goes on, the other goes home.
Here comes the result. Medzhidov has done it. The crowd are delighted. Dichko takes a bronze medal home to Kazakhstan. And the Azerbaijani boxing fans have their hero in the final. And he'll go up against the British boxer, Anthony Joshua. What a great performance. Just when we thought Medzhidov was running out of steam, he dug deep and pulled it off. 16-9. That's a good result, a confidence-building result. Vasyl, my question for you, how do you think Anthony Joshua is going to get on with Medzhidov in the big final, the last final of tomorrow's action?
Well, for one thing, we could say, how did Anthony Joshua stop his last opponent? He bloodied him up. He threw that straight jab straight down the pipe, and he bloodied his nose. What has been the biggest problem tonight for Medzhidov? It's the bloody nose. So I'm concerned for Medzhidov that if Joshua continues to employ that straight, long jab, that it may not be able to go the distance, that Medzhidov may get stopped. If, on the other hand, Medzhidov could land that big punch on Anthony Joshua, then like for all his other opponents, it will be lights out.
Well, the action starts at 2 p.m. Azerbaijani time, the first of the finals, the first of the 10 gold medals that are to be awarded at these AIBA World Championships. And I'm sure you will agree, finishing with the super heavyweights is going to make a sensational finale with Anthony Joshua going up against Medzhidov. But there will also be some amazing clashes, starting with the light flies. And Vasyl, any for you that you think will rise a little bit more above the others? Any particular bouts that we should watch out for or you're looking forward to?
Well, you know, that Lomachenko kid, you gotta love his style. I mean, he brings fireworks. He redefines the notion of pure boxing and pure punching. So, I mean, as far as Lomachenko is concerned, it's always a treat to watch him. Anthony Joshua, I gotta say, I mean, he's just a joy to watch, and he's such a success story at such a young age. I'd say that those two could be two of the biggest bouts that I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
There are British boxers, there are Ukrainian boxers, there are Azerbaijani boxers. It promises to be a scintillating final day here in Baku as the World Championships come to a close, and we'll be back tomorrow on Saturday afternoon. Thanks to AIBA for a cracking set of semi-finals. It's finals day here tomorrow. From Vasyl and Nick Fellows, goodbye for now.